Horlicks Network 18, Mission Poshan, Bhavishya Roshan.
Face off, Zaka, it's good to see politicians sometimes cleaning up after themselves, but I guess there's a bigger cleanup operation that is in the offing when it comes to Pakistan politics.
That's right. I think Imran Khan has left a few skeletons in his cupboard, and some of those skeletons are coming tumbling out just before an election which is arguably his best shot at becoming Prime Minister of Pakistan. Thanks very much for joining us here on this world exclusive here on Face Off. It is an interview, excerpts of which we've been playing since this afternoon, and ever since we did, on social media, on television, it is setting the discourse in Pakistan. It is setting the Pakistani political agenda a month and a half before an all-important election on fire. It's an interview that has exposed the Pakistani hero, World Cup winning captain turned politician, now a prime ministerial hopeful. The most controversial woman in Pakistan right now, Reham Khan, is spilling the beans on her ex-husband Imran Khan, and this is barely 50 days before he fights for the Prime Minister's chair. And ladies and gentlemen, it's not a pretty picture. If anything, it's a sordid tale of sexual favors, of sexual coercion and outright harassment. All of it centers around the man who could become the next Prime Minister of Pakistan. Tonight on Face Off, we're getting you a world exclusive, an explosive, no-holds-barred interview of Reham Khan, first up on Face Off tonight.
You've written this book that we are all waiting for. What does this tell us about Imran Khan that many of us may not know? Now, in his political capacity, he's preparing to contest the position of Prime Minister. Is there something the electorate needs to know, or you think they need to know, that they don't already?
The main thrust of the book is basically about how we as individuals, whether we are journalists or informed people of the media, people who have a keen interest in politics, people from political families, I think that we don't really know what we're voting for. And it's not so much because... When you say
we don't know, you're talking about Imran Khan.
I'm talking
that
about...
people didn't know what they voted for when they voted him.
I didn't, so I speak from my perspective, but it's not only about Imran, it is actually about even, for example, here in the UK. I've voted before, I voted in Pakistan in 2013. So I traced why what's this frame of mind we are in when we go to vote. What is the information that is to hand? And it's interesting because more than other people, you'd expect a person who's a journalist who's covering certain issues to know a little bit better. But I argue whether we do really know what we are voting for. And in this instance, when I voted in 2013, I didn't really know what I was voting for.
You voted in 2013 for who?
For Imran.
Right.
I voted for...
Would you do that again?
No.
Why not?
Well, they've not done anything in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, and so it's of course a problem across Pakistan. But you see, when you vote for someone who pretends or professes to be different, you have higher expectations. And the fact is that we have seen the same sort of politics, or even perhaps much less strength in addressing some issues. So, for example, child protection units in 11 districts of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa have recently been shut down. Now, child protection is a huge issue with 22.7 million children out of school in Pakistan.
It no doubt is a huge issue. But let's talk about military protection to Imran Khan. He is a leader who has spoken very strongly against the military. In fact, at one meeting he said that generals are cowards, that a general would pee in his trousers if confronted with a crowd of 20,000. And now clearly he is contesting this from the lap of the military. Does this change surprise you?
It doesn't surprise me, armed with what I know, and it won't surprise you when you read the book that I've just written. And a lot of people...
What does it say that would lead me to think as you think I might?
It gives you an insight into, like I said, a voter, a journalist, how we actually unconsciously sometimes propagate or a part of the propaganda machinery, like I was, unconsciously. And also it obviously gives you an insight into what sort of a human being he is, what sort of a...
Specifically what?
Well, the fact that what you hinted about, the fact that he's constantly been changing his position on the military, if you just isolate that one issue, a lot of people, when they go to vote for someone, say, for example, they're voting for Modi ji, they pretty much know what they're getting. And I think that's the problem with all the parties now. We don't know what we are voting for. If we're voting for someone because we think he's liberal, and then we see him promoting a very strong Islamist agenda, we get a bit confused.
You mentioned the Islamist agenda. Do you see him as pushing that agenda?
You see, I would be fine with anyone promoting a certain religious agenda if they believed in it. And equally, I wouldn't have a problem with someone who is, say, very pro-military, because, again, you would know where you stand. But with Imran, what I explore in the book as well, and I think it's a lot of people know about it, but of course, I have a position of authority because I've seen the human side, the inside of, you know, what he's inside when the makeup is off and when, you know, when the cameras are off. And so I give you that insight as well, which was frustrating for me.
Would that suggest some sort of opportunism?
Well, yes, I would be brave enough to say that if you are constantly, people have referred to the fact that he's Mr. U-turn, and so that is what I found really frustrating, because, and there's a famous line in the book where I say that, you know, I won't be voting for you next year. Next coming elections. I say that when I was his wife, and he just laughed, and I thought, well, I don't know what you're about. And so with the Islamist agenda, it's not an Islamist agenda, it is an agenda which will secure votes. So if you're using the right bank vote only to become a prime minister, I have a problem with that. If you really believed in it, I would have very little to criticize. As an individual, maybe I wouldn't vote for you, but at least people would know. But the fact that they're constantly sort of changing loyalties is not something that I'm comfortable with. The biggest, I think, worry is the fact that if you look at, even if you don't look at the book, if you look at just the past 6 months or so, the decisions that have been taken make anyone, even his backers, if he has any, it should make them very nervous, because he can't stick to.
Like
for
what?
example, I mean, there have been certain inclusions in the party of people who have been charged for gang rape, for example. And so when I am voting for change, I don't see that change. The idea, the reason we voted for Imran was because he was against the status quo. And if you become a cheaper version, a cheap copy of the status quo, even, you know, actually, how sad a comment is it that the PMLN and the Pakistan People's Party are actually looking cleaner than PTI at the moment. I feel strongly that there's a serious risk of handing a country, handing the reins of a country to someone or an individual who is not only backed by people who want to divide us into very extremist groups, which we have seen, standing with extremist groups.
By present indications, you'd be happy to go with an aggressive policy on India if that were to suit the military?
Well, you see, this is, again, very, very nerve-wracking for us, because we are a nuclear-empowered country, and so we cannot have. The whole point of a politician is, and I know that our military gets a lot of criticism, but you see, we've not had strong politicians. I firmly believe that if we had better representation, the military would take guidance from politicians, because that's how policy is made.
In the end, Ms. Khan, some leaked reports about the content of your book suggest that you have chapters on boys and girls and sex and drugs and rock and roll. That's one. Sounds colorful. Another on heroin and cocaine. Are these matters you take up in the book, and do any of these have a bearing on what you say about Imran Khan?
The book is an in-depth book about my life and my relationships, and how those relationships and the problems in those relationships, both mine and my partners, how do they have an impact on the future or the futures of all Pakistanis, and in fact people in our region.
And those matters particularly?
So I've discussed morality, and I've discussed morality in terms of nepotism, meritocracy or the lack of it. I've discussed sexual harassment. I've discussed sexual coercion and how it is used, how sexual favors are used for political positions, for media positions. And some of them are directly related to Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf, and
Imran Khan particularly, personally?
Well, I suppose that, you know, people at the top have to take responsibility of what happens in their household and in the party. Are we talking about
indirect responsibility, or are we speaking about anything potentially more than that?
Both.
And that is something you do take up in this book.
Yes.
Direct involvement in the kind of issues that we spoke of a minute back.
Yes. Direct
We are
involvement
speaking of Imran Khan.
direct involvement in positions or nepotism or favors which have nothing to do with merit, which have to do with nepotism, which have to do with bypassing meritocracy.
But we were speaking of a little more than that. We were speaking about sex, drugs.
Yes, I'm talking about
heroin.
sexual favors, sexual coercion and sexual harassment, and how that needs to be addressed. And that needs to be said, and I have spoken at length in the book.
Is that the reason people fear this book? Some people?
I think that there's more to it why they fear that, because you see, sadly in Pakistan, and I suppose it's true globally as well, we see this as not such a big problem. And I think that sexual coercion and sexual favors that's the problem, is seen as acceptable. If people are in power, if a man is in power, it is seen as something that is almost something that I should turn a blind eye to. The society should turn a blind eye to.
Is that something you had reason to discover as someone who is married to Imran Khan?
I have led my life as a role model for my daughters and for other women. And I say repeatedly in the book that I'm not here because of anything unprincipled. And it's not because of a lack of offers, but it's just that I think that you go further without giving favors. And I'm very clear about past experiences also where I've turned down jobs on that basis. And I've made it very clear to the girls who have had to compromise or who feel that they have to compromise that they shouldn't have to feel that they need to be pressurized into or coerced into a position. I'm a strong proponent of standing up for what you believe in.
And there are women out there who have reason to have such apprehensions, and in relation to Imran Khan.
Yes, and there is, and why I've talked about it is because, you see, I feel very strongly that if one woman has or can compromise, another woman who perhaps deserves the position will lose her career. And that is the biggest problem across the world, where some people will compromise, but a large number of women will not be able to compromise.
In the very end, any examples you can share of this?
There are certain bits of very specific instances. So I've not spoken loosely in the book, and of course, because the book is not published.
Specific instances of what?
Of sexual harassment or sexual favors. There are specific incidents in relation to certain positions, and I've been very specific about them. And the reason I can't give you a little bit more titillating facts is because there's been a lot of obviously lies being spread already, which I think is taking away from the book, because to be quite honest, it doesn't really matter to me as much. Morality is important to me, but if somebody does something in their own time, say for example you do something after 7 p.m. in your private life, that should not be my concern. But if you turn up to my office in a particular state, or you carry on in a work sphere like that, where it poses a problem to your boss or to your colleagues, then it's a problem. So I've discussed those incidents which relate particularly to abuse of power.
And you believe people should keep such issues in mind when they take a decision whether to vote for Imran Khan or not?
Well, the reason is quite simply this, that if I'm voting for a representative who is there not because he is capable, competent, has something to contribute to the parliament, because of some intellect, then I think that we are cheating the voters. If you say that this is an upright young man or upright young woman, or an intellectual, but actually that's not the reason why they got, because that's what we voted for. So I think you really need to understand who you're voting for.
Thank you very much, Ms. Khan, for talking to us.
All right, that explosive tell-all interview by a woman who could arguably be the most hated woman in Pakistan right now, albeit that tell-all interview, ever since we put out excerpts of it this afternoon, that is now a top Twitter trend in Pakistan. You're free to question the timing of this book, her motivations, and that's fine. But what about the larger issues that she's raising? Who is it that Pakistan is going to vote in as Prime Minister? What are the motivations of that man? Is he somebody who has no political convictions? Is he a man of U-turns? Is his only conviction about vote banks? And more importantly, the far graver allegations that she's laying. Is Imran Khan a man who's taken sexual favors in return for political patronage? Has he coerced and harassed women for sexual favors in return for positions of power within his party? These are questions that the voters of Pakistan need to ask before they cast their franchise on the 25th of July, on the day of Pakistani elections. Let's bring in our panel tonight. This is an explosive tell-all interview by Reham Khan, the former wife of Pakistani World Cup winning captain turned politician Imran Khan. We're joined on the panel tonight by Kishore Bhimani, cricket commentator. All our viewers are familiar with him. He's so close to Imran Khan that every time Imran Khan came to Calcutta, he used to visit Kishore Bhimani's home. Ayaz Memon has been covering Imran Khan since he made his debut way back in the late 1970s, all the way through to his final match as the World Cup winning captain of Pakistan. Mona Alam, senior journalist, political analyst, somebody who was with PTV, who's been following Imran Khan's political career. She's on our panel tonight. Mubin Rashid, senior journalist, joining us from London. And incidentally, Mubin was the one who inspired or encouraged Reham to write this book. Unfortunately, during the course of the writing of this book, they fell out. And we'll also be joined in a moment by Salman Ahmed. And everybody in India knows Salman Ahmed as the heart and soul of the Pakistani band, the rock band Junoon. Let me start with you, Mona Alam. Yeah. I'm willing to state this right up top of the show. You can question the timing of this book. You can question Reham Khan's motivations, but you cannot question the basic premise and the basic contention that she's raising through this book, and that is, who is Pakistan voting for? Who is the real Imran Khan? What does he stand for?
Thank you, Zaka. Yes, you've mentioned somewhere in your preamble that Reham Khan possibly is the most hated woman in Pakistan as of now due to this book, this upcoming book of hers, but I would absolutely refuse on that. I'll rebut that. That's not true. And having said that, I may agree with her, I may not agree with her, but I will always abide by the fact that she has her right of expression, she has her right of speech. I don't know what the book itself contains because, yes, she has made revelations.
So why
and there
then is this book being banned,
well,
Mona? Why then is this book being banned in Pakistan? Why are some people so afraid that they've had to move the court and the court has now put a ban on this book? Why?
Because of, Zaka, because of the leaked manuscripts of the book itself. There is an entire lobby which is working on this, and there are certain leaked portions of the book. Whenever Reham Khan was questioned upon that on her Twitter account, she has very explicitly mentioned that let the book come out, let the book get published.
No, hang on. So you have a problem with the leaked manuscript of the book, but if that same material appears in the book, then you don't have a problem?
No, listen, that I think is, if that is in the book indeed, I don't see that impression through what Reham Khan is tweeting as of now. But if, having said that, if it is in the book, then she could be booked under law.
No, but Mona Alam, let me ask you a direct question. Let me ask you a direct question. No, Mona Alam, wait. Let's get this point clear and straight up first. If Reham Khan is alleging that she knows instances of Imran Khan seeking and getting sexual favors in return for political patronage, if she's talking about specific instances of sexual coercion and sexual harassment of women, doesn't that worry you as a woman, as a journalist?
Look, Zaka, I won't really buy that because that woman, Reham Khan, she's a very good confidant and of course she's a colleague as well, being a journalist too. So, you know, I won't really buy that because 15 months of having been with Imran Khan, I don't think she was a toddler. She married her by her choice and her will, her full will. And I know for a fact that there were people who were discouraging her to go for this marriage in the first place. Yet she went for this, and there is a certain leak portion
what does that have? What does that have to do? What does that have to do? What has that have to do with her allegation that she knows specific instances of women from whom Imran Khan has sought sexual favors? Let me get Mubin Rashid. Let me get Mubin Rashid into this conversation. Sure. Mubin, tell our viewers, in what way, in what form were you involved? Were you involved at all in the inspiration for Reham to write this book? Were you the one who persuaded her to write this book? And why did you guys fall apart eventually?
Time and inviting me for this show. I really like the debate which you have started the way Mona was speaking. The thing is that, I mean, she came to London on my invitation. There was a media conference which I organized in which 25 plus Pakistani journalists participated, and I invited her as a journalist because she was working for BBC and of course one or two Pakistani channels before her marriage. But certainly she was having one other edge being a wife of Imran Khan. But the day she landed here, next morning she was given divorced by Imran Khan through a tweet of a senior politician, senior party leader Naeemul Haq, and the way they ended up the whole story. And then I was the one who organized his first interview. It was 3-episode interview which was telecasted widely on TV channels in Pakistan. It was highest rating, and from there on, I got given her this idea that why shouldn't we go with a book and reveal all those facts, whatever she has in this 12 months, because of, as she said, that the marriage prolonged there for 12 months, or some people say that's for 10 months. But the thing, when we started the whole conversation and we just start writing a book, there were some middle points when he was trying to write single one-sided story, and I was the one, because I was writing that book and I want to write it with my name. So I said her that why shouldn't we should get the story of the other side as well.
Okay.
The facts, whatever we believe, she's think that they are important for us. But it's important that if you are writing an independent book as a journalist, you should give the both sides point of view.
Oh,
so
okay, Mubin, I take your point. I take your point, but the simple fact is that Reham Khan is writing this book as the former wife of Imran Khan, and she's revealing certain facts which absolutely are one-sided, but then that is her side of the story. Now, either Imran Khan or his team puts out a counter saying that these are wrong, or you've got to live with this book. Now, let me get Salman Ahmed into this. And Salman, I said this, I mean, you're a man of many hats, activist, artist, author, but here in India, everybody still knows you as the life and soul of Junoon. And you're an ardent Imran Khan supporter. Let me ask you this straight up. If, as Reham Khan is suggesting in this interview to us, that she is mentioning specific instances of women from whom Imran Khan has sought sexual favors in return for political positions of power in the PTI, isn't that something that worries you, Salman? Isn't that something that should worry every Pakistani citizen before he or she casts vote this July 25th to elect such a man who his ex-wife says she knows specific instances where he has sought sexual favors in return for political patronage?
So, thank you for having me on your show. So let me begin, first of all, to let your viewers know that I have known Imran Khan since the age of 19. I am good friends with his family, and so also his ex-wife, Jemima Khan. For 20 years, I've known Jemima. Now, my question, or my answer to your question is that if Imran Khan is what Reham Khan asserts, a person who has no merit, doesn't believe in merit, doesn't believe in giving people the benefit of the doubt, then why wouldn't Jemima Khan, who was married to him for 10 years, has been divorced for 13 years, why would she not corroborate the evidence that Reham Khan is bringing into the book? Jemima Khan, who's a Western woman, a British woman, she gave the evidence for which Khan Sahab got the certificate from the Supreme Court, which said he is Sadiq and Amin, meaning that he's an honest man who has not been involved in any sort of corruption, whether it's political corruption or moral corruption. So my point is that Reham Khan, who marries Khan Sahab for 10 months and goes away and brings together a book with all of these incredible allegations against not just Imran Khan, against senior Pakistani public figures like Wasim Akram. She blames the women in PTI of having got into their office bills because of nepotism or favors.
No, but once again, Salman, she's not the only one who's made that allegation. There have been other PTI women leaders who've come out and made similar allegations, number one. Number two, I think I will buy your point of why Jemima never made such allegations against Imran Khan, but Reham is. Maybe she has an axe to grind. I have no qualms in admitting that that's a valid argument. But what I'm asking you is this. What I'm asking you is this. This is a very basic question. Is such a man then fit to occupy public office, least of all, the highest public office in your land?
Well, you just jumped 10 baskets. In a court of law, if a witness comes, it's necessary to ascertain the credibility of the witness. And in this case, if the witness is Reham Khan, it's important we ascertain her credibility. Wouldn't you agree? So I will tell you firsthand what Reham Khan did when she was married to Imran Khan for just 10 months. Just 10 months. She, through nepotism, tried to get her brother and her uncle a ticket for KPK, which Khan Sahib said no. She tried to get charity money of Shaukat Khan Memorial Trust, Imran Khan's foundation, and Namal College. She tried to get the charity money into a private bank account and got reprimanded by Khan Sahib.
Okay.
She tried to take over the party. She tried to order senior office bearers around. She was wheeling and dealing. And this is, by the way, this is all, I have proof for this. I'm not just firing in the air. One of the senior party leaders, she took 1 crore for because she was making a film. She asked me for money that I would support her film production. Then on March 19th this year, I made a critical tweet about Khan Sahib and one of his candidates.
Okay.
It went viral. And soon as it went viral, Reham Khan got in touch with me, sent me 2 emails and a tweet saying, if you join me to expose Khan Sahib, we can both do this together.
Okay.
Then at the same time, PMLN leadership got in touch with me that if you join us to expose Khan Sahib, we can help you financially. At the same time, former U.S. Pakistani ambassador Hussain Haqqani, same day, tweeted me, I feel your pain. Now you have seen how Imran Khan is exposed. So it makes me think that there is a nexus here right before the elections. Why is this book coming out just before the elections and alleging
fair enough.
this man fit
Look,
enough to be Prime Minister?
I said that right at the top. I said that right at the top that I'm absolutely in agreement with the question, and it's a very valid question. You can question the timing of her book. You can question her motivations, but I'm more interested in the contents of what she has said and whether that raises a basic question. Is Imran Khan fit to lead a country like Pakistan? I want to thank Salman because I know there is paucity of time. But let me get in both Kishore Bhimani and Ayaz Memon into this conversation. Kishore Da, you have known Imran Khan for the last 30 years at least. Yes, I mean, even in his cricketing days, he had this image, for want of a better word, he had the image of a Casanova, and that's fine. I have no problems with that. The question is this: if, as Reham Khan is alleging, that Imran Khan sought and got women to do sexual favors for him in return for political patronage, is that something that is good enough for a person who's wanting to occupy the highest political office in Pakistan? Because certainly that would not be appropriate in India, in the US, in Europe, in any country, in any democracy.
Zaka, I'd like to start my reply by telling you, yes, I've known him for 40 years. He is the great gentleman of cricket. I've had the good fortune of meeting his first girlfriend, Emma Sargent, who was from a high society painter. And I spent some time chatting to her, and she told me, what a fine gentleman. I'm looking at the game of cricket all over again if it can produce such people. I'm looking at Pakistan all over again to see that your subcontinent people like this come. As for Jemima, what Salman was just telling you, may I supplement something, Zaka?
Yeah.
I don't know Jemima. I know Jemima's brother, Ben Goldsmith, very well. I spent time with him in London. And one of the things you hear about Imran, which makes you feel good, is he's such a fine man, such a fine human being, and he will never say, the whole family, the Goldsmith family won't say a word against Imran. I have known him, I've been to parties with him, I've hosted him in Calcutta, I've met with him in London, all over the world, in Australia. And I tell you one thing, we may be wrong, but I'd like to say that Reham should have a hell of a lot of facts at her disposal if she's going to prove to me, as a reader, that Imran does these things. It is, absolutely ridiculous to make a statement. We'll wait for the book to come out.
Okay.
Maybe we'll be able to read it. But it is not
Yeah.
possible that a man of that stature, I'm not talking about elections, I'm not talking about imaging, but today if you make an accusation about sexual favors, these are very serious accusations.
Okay.
And these things had better be proved right, because he is not like that. He is a human being full of fun, full of life, full of ideas, full of enterprise.
Fair
and
enough.
I wish him the best of luck. I
Fair
hope
enough.
he becomes the Prime Minister.
Fair enough. No. Ayaz,
Yeah.
let's be clear, Ayaz. This is not just about cricket. This is about a man wanting to occupy the highest public office in a country, right? And we expect a certain level of decency, a certain level of integrity amongst people who we elect to the highest office, whether it's in India, whether it's in Pakistan. The question that needs to be asked is simply this, and Reham refers to this in her interview. What does Imran Khan stand for politically? Is he pro-army? Because he's been pro-army in the past. He's criticized the army in the past. Now again, he's believed to be pro-army. Is he pro-Islamist parties? Well, he's had dalliances with Islamist parties, including in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, where his party rules, and now he's supposedly against them. What does he stand for? Who is Imran Khan, the politician? What is his political conviction?
Well, Zaka, I mean, I can't claim to be an expert on Pakistan politics, and let's look at two facets of Imran Khan's life as we know it. One is, of course, that he's been a great cricketer, truly great cricketer, and all the virtues that Kishore Bhimani spelled out are absolutely correct. The other is that he's also been a politician, and he's been a politician for about 20 years, and we know that politics in the subcontinent can get extremely murky. He's riding the whole kind of political landscape on his iconic status, on his charisma. More than the party, it is Imran Khan who's made an impact, I would imagine, even from afar, sitting in India. Now, whether he is, he's done all the things that has been alleged by Reham Khan in her book is very difficult to say. But I'll agree with one thing which I think all the panelists have said, that these are really serious charges. And if you've made these, kind of in a flip way, or because there's some you feel that there is an animus because you've been married to him and not married to him, and therefore the thing is that because she was married to him, she had access to him. The other is that the marriage didn't last.
Yes.
So what has caused this kind of a revelation is something that, frankly, and I completely endorse what Kishore has said, that these are such serious allegations that unless she can back them up with some solid proof, this might actually not go down well for her also. But the fact is that the elections are coming up on July 25th, and this kind of, it's a kind of ack firing on Imran Khan's, image, status, whatever else. I don't know what.
Fair enough.
How
I mean, there are many people, including in Pakistan, who are saying that this is a hit job on Imran Khan just before the election. That's a valid criticism that I'm willing to take on board. But I think the larger message that she is sending out through this book, and she's asking every Pakistani to think about this fact, think about what she's mentioning in her book before they decide to vote for or against Imran Khan this election. And that's what should worry you, Mona Alam, when she says, let me just read out that excerpt of the interview where she says,
Sure.
Yeah, I would be brave enough to say that constantly people have referred to the fact that he's Mr. U-turn, which is really frustrating. I have seen the human side, the inside, when the makeup is off and when the cameras are off, because I have that insight, which is frustrating for me. Can you name for me, Mona Alam, one cause that Imran Khan has steadfastly stood for in the 20 years that he's been a politician, whether it is pro-military or whether it is pro-Islamist parties, because he's constantly changing his position. What does he stand for? What is his political conviction?
I'm not a fan of those views that you're presenting here. Yes, about the U-turns and about the stance on military. Yes, we've heard various words, but then again, I would like to complement that with the fact that there has been different times in Pakistan, Zaka. Once there was a dictator like General Musharraf, and that is when Imran Khan had an anti-stance on the establishment. And now, of course, things have changed, things have evolved. The military wants to give a chance to democracy to flourish in Pakistan. So these are different times. Secondly, having said that, I don't want
No, that's not true. Let me play out a soundbite.
What do you mean that's not true? That is true.
No, let me play
That
out a
is true.
soundbite. No, it's not true that Imran Khan was opposed to the army only when Musharraf was in power. I want to play out this. This was a sting operation. Many Pakistani channels carried this.
There was one
hang on.
Yes,
Let me just play this.
Let
me just play this. Let me just play this clip. This is from, I think, a couple of years ago, so 2016, 2017, where Imran Khan on camera is heard saying, if generals see 20,000 people on the roads, they will start urinating on their pants. Can we play that? Can we play that? One second. Can we play that? No, can we play that out? Play that out.
जनरल जो है ना जी, जनरल तो कोई उम्मीद ना जनरल जो है ना उसके अंदर दम ही नहीं है ना बड़ा कदम उठा तुसी 20,000 लोग सड़कों से कट दो ना तो जनरल का इन्ने बुलते लोग ने.
This was just a couple of years ago, Mona Alam, and then this was not when Pakistan was under martial law or a dictator was ruling you.
That's what I'm saying. I've tweeted that myself. That doesn't really make a difference in here. Yes, I'm abiding by my statement still that military wants democracy to flourish in Pakistan, and these are different times here. I don't want. See, I may buy that argument that Imran Khan is presuming himself that military is backing him. But when I come to the military stance itself, they are not backing anyone. They're not backing Imran Khan. They're neither backing Imran Khan nor backing or hating PMLN. This is just an agenda. This is just a conspiracy theory against them.
How and why then, Mona Alam, once again, how and why then are one after the other leaders from PMLN who've been with PMLN for the last 20, 30 years, leaders who are with the PPP, okay. I've just been told by my producers that we are joined on the line from London by the person who's in the hot seat, the person who has written this book, which is a tell-all on Imran Khan, and asking a basic question: who is it that Pakistanis are going to vote for? Who is this man really when they decide to vote on the 25th of July? Reham Khan is now live for us from London. Thank you very much. I appreciate you joining us. I'm going to get straight to the point. Many people in Pakistan are questioning the timing of this book. You were married to Imran Khan many years ago. You got divorced eventually. Why are you coming out with this book now? Is the sole purpose of this book to defame this man before arguably the most critical election in his life?
Thank you. Well, I think I'm not really answerable to sort of decide or describe my motivation to writing the book or the timing of it. Quite simply, it's because that's how long it takes to put a book together. I don't have a political lobby or a political party or a huge area of sort of finance that would help me publish this book. So I've had to really learn the process. I've had to learn how to get a literary agent. I've had to do it all on my own, and it was because it was sensitive material and because I knew that there would be, my voice would be crushed and I would be silenced, because those were the threats that I've been getting from day one. And I felt that
why would it take you 5 years to put together a book? And why would it curiously be timed?
5 years. It's not 5 years.
Okay, why would it take you 3 years to put together a book? And why would it be curiously timed a month and a half before Pakistan's election, in which Imran Khan, many say, has the best shot of becoming Prime Minister?
Well, I mean, very simply, I think it's pertinent for it to be published now, if I can get it to be published in time. You see, this book, one must understand that this book is not yet published. This book is not in the market. A publishing date has not been decided. I have not made any revelations, or I've not even started the PR or publicity of this book. This publicity, this panic, this kerfuffle has all been caused by the Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf and their people on TV. It has not been started by us.
What would you say, Reham Khan? What would you say to people who say that this is simply a hit job on Imran Khan to tarnish his image before the election? What would you say to them?
I think that people need to be empowered before they go into the elections. I wasn't empowered. I had no idea what I was voting for back in 2013. I regret. I voted for PTI. I voted for Imran, and I deeply regret that. And I think that I went in blind.
Why? Why do you regret voting for
the UK as well?
Why do you regret voting for a man who used to be your husband?
because I'm saying that I would not vote for him again, and the reason of the divorce or the reason of us splitting apart was not personal. It was actually an ideological, complete different viewpoints and completely different directions. We voted for Imran and for Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf back in 2013, expecting change, positive change. We wanted him to challenge the status quo. He's just become a cheap copy of status quo in Pakistan.
No, what
so
do
I
you mean
feel
by
that
he's
I want
become
him
a
blind,
cheap
and
copy? Let's be very specific. Give us specific allegations. What is it that you're
Let's
trying
be specific.
to... Okay, let's be specific.
Right.
What do you mean by he's a cheap version of the status quo?
Let's be specific. For example, he came in promising that he would eradicate corruption. In the book, I tell you that the one province that they've had the luxury of governing, as a journalist and as a wife, I have seen corruption, and I talk about it in the book, and that is it's a very dear subject to me. Also, we expect positive change. We expected him to represent a modern image of Pakistan, not to be promoting extremism. We have seen evidence of it. You will see it in the book also, but you've seen evidence of it in the past few months, where they've given 57 crores to a madrasa which has dubious links, whereas they would not spend citing budget allocation issues in the same province. So it's not a choice for somebody who wants good education in Pakistan,
also made
or somebody
specific allegations,
who wants no corruption
Reham
in
Khan,
Pakistan.
you have made specific allegations of sexual favors, sexual coercion, sexual harassment of women in return for political patronage in the PTI. Would you care to elaborate on this?
Yes. Once again, I want to stress that the book is not yet published. So everybody now is actually working blind. So the things that you've seen or the things that have come out have actually come out from Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf. Now, how do they have this material? Where did they obtain it? It's clearly intellectual theft, because they're either broadcasting stuff that allegedly is my manuscript, which is illegal, and also threatening and using intimidation tactics.
No, I'm asking you a straight question. No, I'm asking you a straight question. Do you have specific allegations of sexual favors or sexual coercion and harassment against Imran Khan? If so, then name them.
Yes, I have. I have in the book talked about, because sexual favors or sexual coercion or nepotism, this is all the same thing. When you talk about meritocracy, because these are the values that we voted for. He talked about merit, and I'm sorry, but I don't think that sexual favors to get a position is associated with merit. That's not merit. That means bypassing women who are very talented, or people who are very talented.
I'm sorry, I'm repeating myself. You're again speaking in generalities. I'm asking you for specific instances if you know such.
I'm saying that in the book, when it's published, you will see specific examples of corruption, specific examples of sexual favors.
Okay, let me again rephrase that. You know of women. You know of women who have been asked for sexual favors by Imran Khan in return for political positions of power in his party. Is that what you're alleging?
Yes, I'm saying that there is sexual harassment and sexual favors within the party, and that I have witnessed it, and that is what I've talked about in the book.
And
I take a very strong viewpoint of it, because I think
these favors were sought by Imran himself,
as well as other members of the party.
But himself included.
Yes.
Did you ever try to confront him with this?
Yes.
And what did he say?
And the issue, you see, what the point is this, that the book is being promoted in Pakistan or portrayed as something which is coming from a bitter ex. It's from a point of view of a principled stance.
No. Answer my question.
Who is just cheating.
Did you try confronting him, and what was his response?
I'm saying,
when you confronted him, what was his response?
I confronted him always on the basis of, if you're compromising merit because of sexual favors or because of friendships or because of nepotism or because of taking money, that is wrong. So I confronted it, and it was an uncomfortable confrontation. And this is why they don't want the book to come out, and this is why the marriage couldn't last, because we had an ideological complete, so we were standing on different viewpoints. And I mean, there's a line in the book which
you confronted him,
included.
And his response was not good enough, and that's one of the reasons why your marriage broke down?
The response was indifference. it wasn't stopped. I proposed a sexual harassment panel, an independent sexual harassment panel. I gave specific examples where women were coming to me and saying that they were not being given positions, and they were bypassed. I have emails in my inbox right now as well from women in PTI who have been bypassed, and I cannot disclose their names purely because they are married women, and I would be very happy to share that as well as evidence.
You have also alleged in the book that there's rampant use of drugs, heroin and cocaine and other drugs. I'm asking you a straight question again. Was your ex-husband a drug addict? Is he a drug addict?
Now, I would prefer, and I would really like, for the book to be published and for you to read the book. So when you get my signed copy of the book, I think that would be a better
This is a huge allegation you're making.
Talk about it.
At the cost of repetition, I'm asking you again. I'm asking you again. Did you ever see Imran Khan consume drugs?
I repeat that I have not made this allegation yet. I have not made any allegation yet. The book is not yet published.
Reham, I'm not asking you if it's there in the book or not.
And media channels
Reham, I'm not asking you if it's there in the book or not.
There is a book. And when
no, I'm not asking you if it's there in the book or not. I'm asking you, have you ever seen Imran Khan in possession of drugs or consuming drugs?
I wish not to answer on camera. I have answered everything in the book.
Okay. Okay, I'll get to the final set of questions.
Have all your answers in the book.
PTI is alleging that you are doing this at the behest of the PMLN. Have you ever met Nawaz Sharif or Maryam Nawaz or anybody from the PMLN during the course that you were writing this book?
I have had no connection with any PMLN leader or any PMLN individual asking me to even do a press conference. In fact, I've had PMLN leaders asking me not to speak about Imran, and their senior ministers who have asked me not to write this book and not to speak about Imran because it's very difficult for a woman.
Sharif or Maryam Nawaz?
I have never met Nawaz Sharif. I'm a journalist, so of course I have met Maryam Nawaz Sharif, and we are from the same region as well. But she has never met me in connection to asking me to write a book.
Okay, Reham Khan, thank you very much.
I have met Shehbaz Sharif, I have met Hamza Shehbaz.
Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate you joining us.
Thank you.
Like I said, we will leave the rest of the speculation, and we will leave the rest of the dirt that's being attributed and alleged in your name. Let the book come out, and I think that's the most important thing. Thank you very much for joining us. I appreciate you joining us here on CNN News 18. I'm going to take a break, but the other guests will continue to stay with us. We'll come back and get their response to what Reham Khan has just said. All right, welcome back. Two explosive revelations in that interview with Reham Khan. She said there are specific instances of sexual favors asked for and given, and she refused to answer the question directly whether Imran Khan is a drug addict, but I think the answer is pretty obvious. Let me get quick final comments from both Kishore Bhimani and Ayaz Memon. Kishore Da, what did you make of that? I've got 1 minute.
I'm sorry to say, Zaka, I may be a little prejudiced, but these are wild allegations. Let me tell you about drugs. I was in Australia several times, twice with Imran, and there was a young boy called Qasim Omar, who was one of the middle order batsmen in Pakistan team. He made a revelation about Imran Khan's drug taking. Now, Imran was out in the open. He said, okay, what are you talking about? He said, if you open his kit bag, you'll find drugs, cocaine there. And the newspapers took it up, everything happened. Imran is an upfront guy. He doesn't have to do these things. Just like he doesn't have to use political power or political favors to attract women. I have been with him 40 years, I've known him. And this man was a gentleman. Apart from that, women found him very attractive.
Fair
As
enough.
my friend Ayaz will tell you, we've been around the world.
No, fair enough. Nobody has a problem with that.
He was a likable person.
No, nobody has a problem with that. But if that is in return for political favors and political positions of power, then there's a problem. Final word, Ayaz. What did you make of what Reham Khan said?
Well, you know, I mean, the kind of stuff that Reham Khan has allegedly written in the book, we still have to read it. But what she said while speaking to you is, is mind-boggling in that sense. And Imran, if it is all true, Imran has a lot to answer for. But if it is not true, then obviously Reham Khan has a lot to answer for All I can say at this point in time, it seems like it's a book worth reading. I mean, just for the heck of it.
If it comes out, that is. Okay, thank you very much to all our panelists. On the other side, Viewpoint will be here, and tonight, like I said, it's a special 2-hour-long coverage to this particular story. This is an explosive tell-all book, and we'll have that interview again right on the other side. In a moment, Bhupin will be here with Viewpoint.
Sexual coercion and sexual favors that's the problem, is seen as acceptable. I'm not here because of anything unprincipled. There's a famous line in the book where I say, no, I won't be voting for you in next coming elections. I say that when I was his wife, and he just laughed. And I thought, well, I don't know what you're about. I have a position of authority because I've seen the human side, the inside of, what he's inside when the makeup is off and when, when the cameras are off. And so I give you that insight as well, which was frustrating for me.